how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Target. Target is ruined as sales have never recovered since their boycott. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from CNBC, Target CEO blames aggressive behavior, serious threats for pulling some Pride merchandise. Also from CNBC, Target CEO says shoppers are pulling back, even on groceries. Target is having a hard time now even selling groceries to their customers. You would think people need to eat, but no, not if it's Target who's selling it. From Yahoo Finance, the past year for Target investors has not been profitable. From Desert News, will $25 turkey dinners win back the conservatives who are boycotting Target? And from the Daily Mail, Target CEO is branded a flat-out liar for denying the firm marketed transgender bathing suits for women to kids and worked with Satanist designer on Pride gear. And from newsbusters.org, CNBC anchor smears conservatives as bigoted people, downplays the boycotts of woke companies. Around May 15th or so of 2023, Target got themselves into trouble because of their massive Pride Month display put in the front of all of their stores so that if you went into Target, you need to deal with their Pride Month display. Well, around May 15th, the value of their company was $74.11 billion. Today, it's $50.67 billion, roughly $24 billion less. They have been absolutely decimated over this. Customers do not need to go to stores that want to push an agenda on them. From CNBC, Target CEO blames aggressive behavior, serious threats for pulling some Pride merchandise. Target CEO Brian Cornell defended his decision to pull some of the retailer's Pride collection merchandise off shelves earlier this year, saying backlash against the items led to the most serious safety threats that he can recall in his decade with the company. In an interview with CNBC's Becky Quick, Cornell said employees dealt with, quote, very aggressive behavior in stores, including threats, destruction of merchandise, and disruptions at the cashier area. He said some people yelled at employees and, quote, threatened to light product on fire in stores. Quote, I've seen natural disasters, Cornell said. We've seen the impact of COVID leaning into the pandemic, some of the violence that took place after George Floyd's death. But I will tell you, Becky, what I saw back in May is the first time since I've been in this job where I had store team members saying it's not safe to come to work. Target has sold merchandise themed for Pride Month, which celebrates LGBT people and issues in June, for more than a decade. Yet the Minneapolis-based discounter faced sharp backlash this year to items in the collection, which included swimsuits and other items for transgender customers. In August, Cornell said the strong reaction to the company's Pride collection contributed to Target's disappointing sales in the second quarter. Those sales have not bounced back. Beverage giant Anheuser-Busch InBev earlier this year faced similar backlash around its Bud Light beer brand after a partnership with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney and subsequent decision not to defend the endorsement. There's a lot of propaganda that keeps coming out about why didn't Bud Light get behind its transgender spokesmodel? Why not get behind the face of Bud Light? They chose Dylan Mulvaney, so why not just keep promoting and defending Dylan Mulvaney? For one thing, the reason they didn't defend Dylan Mulvaney was because everyone in the marketing department seems to have been fired. So there was really no one left to defend Dylan Mulvaney. The other reason is they rebranded the beer to something that it wasn't before. So there was really no way to support this new transgender beer brand that Bud Light turned into. There's no market for a transgender beer. It was a mainstream product. So to create a ridiculous small niche product is not something that's viable, and it's not something there are 500 independent distributors who count on selling cases and cases and cans and kegs of Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch product were prepared for. There was literally no way from a marketing perspective to get behind Dylan Mulvaney as the new face of Bud Light and make that work. Cornell said in the CNBC interview that he thinks the Pride response is no longer hurting Target financially, though he noted the retailer faces other challenges. Consumers are spending less, even on groceries, he said. Cornell said he made the call to remove the controversial merchandise despite knowing it would create even more of a reaction. If they knew it was controversial in the first place, why are they dumping it in their stores? Why are they making that the focal point of their stores? Why focus on something that's controversial? What are you trying to do in these stores? It does not belong there. Well, we had to prioritize the safety of our teams, he said. And I knew personally this was not going to be well received, but we had to prioritize the safety of the team. Also from CNBC, Target's CEO says shoppers are pulling back even on groceries. This should be the main concern of the company. Not only do people really not want to go to Target anymore if they can possibly avoid it, but there are actual financial problems preventing people from buying what they want to buy. It's one thing to have discretionary items, but things like groceries, things like food, you should be able to sell to customers because human beings do need to consume food. So what's wrong with Target that they can't even sell people the food they used to sell them anymore? Target CEO Brian Cornell says shoppers are pulling back even on groceries as they feel stressed about their budgets. In an interview with CNBC's Becky Quick, he emphasized that the retailer has posted 7 consecutive quarters of declining sales of discretionary items such as apparel and toys in terms of both dollars and units. Well, but even in food and beverage categories over the last few quarters, the units, the numbers of items they're buying has been declining, he said. Target doubled down on a cautious outlook as it gears up for the crucial holiday season. The retailer cut its full-year sales and profit expectations in August despite a growing number of economics delaying or scrapping calls for a recession and government data showing that inflation is cooling. Of course, inflation builds on itself quarter after quarter, year after year. Inflation is so high now that a lot of things are 50% more than they used to be. I'm sure as you're listening to this, you're well aware that things don't cost what they used to cost. They're much, much more. Even if inflation was at 0% right now, a lot of things would not be affordable. Cornell said the company has faced a turnabout from previous holiday seasons. During the height of the COVID crisis, it didn't have enough merchandise because of pandemic-related supply chain bottlenecks. Then a year ago, it coped with too much of the wrong inventory. Quote, "We've taken a much more conservative approach in planning inventory this year." See, conservative approaches are actually the right ones to take. He went on to say, "But we're going to lean into those big seasonal movements and play to win when we know the consumer is looking for something that's new, looking for affordability, looking for that special item for the holiday season." Over the past few years, Cornell said shoppers have typically sprung for more purchases during, quote, "seasonal moments such as Halloween or Mother's Day, a factor that could help in the coming months." But Target shareholders are not doing well. The stock is down a massive amount, even just in the last year. From Yahoo Finance, the past year for Target investors has not been profitable. Target's share price is down 30% in the last year. That contrasts poorly with the market return of 16%. From Desert News, will a $25 turkey dinner win back conservatives boycotting Target? I don't think a $25 turkey dinner is quite enough. When retailer giant Target has been in the news lately, it's usually been about falling sales, closing stores, or conservative backlash over LGBT-themed merchandise. But the store had a win this week with an announcement that it would sell $25 Thanksgiving meals. Even the New York Post reported the news without a mention of recent controversies, although it didn't take long for readers to bring them up in the comments. It's unknown whether the marketing strategy was specifically designed to win back parents who stopped shopping there this year after Target offered swimwear for transgender adults and those who object to the company's embrace of rainbow-themed merchandise. Many other stores, after all, offer Thanksgiving meals as well. But the low price point, less than the average 16-pound turkey cost last year, is surely attractive to families struggling with inflation and could woo some shoppers back. Like Bud Light, which has also been the subject of a boycott after featuring transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney on a promotional can, Target has seen sales decline, although Target CEO Brian Cornell said in an earnings call in August that, quote, multiple headwinds had slowed the business. Bud Light, an iconic brand that this year became a verb signaling a boycott, has sought to win back consumers by investing heavily in NFL advertising, and it has also recently announced a multi-year partnership of the mixed martial arts competition Ultimate Fighting Championship. Northwestern University marketing professor Tim Calkins told Yahoo Finance the brand is likely to spend an enormous amount of money to try to rebuild its brand after shocking declines earlier this year. Bud Light needs to spend as many hundreds of millions as it can in additional marketing to try to justify to their beer distributors to keep the beer in stock. This is not something Bud Light can directly control. They need to win over those independent distributors, which means they need to spend so that distributors see, okay, there is some demand for it. We'll continue to carry it. Even so, the sales are off 30% nationally for Bud Light alone, 25% nationally for Budweiser, and the other brands are off as well. Some analysts have said that Bud Light might have lost 15% of its customers permanently, but writing for The Hill, Vikas Mittal, a marketing professor at Jones Graduate School of Business at Rice University, said that the losses weren't all because of conservatives. Progressives supposedly also soured on the brand, believing that Bud Light hadn't done enough to support Dylan Mulvaney during the controversy, which is an absolute ridiculous statement. Yes, there were some articles we saw on iconic gay bars swearing to never carry Anheuser-Busch or Bud Light products again. Yes, a few of them decided not to carry the beer. Obviously, that wasn't the main market, because if it was, there never would have been an issue with the boycott in the first place. The problem they had was it was a mainstream brand that everyone bought, no matter what sexuality they happened to be or identified with. But with making Dylan Mulvaney the spokesmodel for Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch alienated their main customer base and now never can be considered a mainstream brand that everyone can buy ever again. The professor went on to say, quote, efforts to mollify one group earned the ire of all, Mittal said. Although he also said other factors were at play, including a mediocre product. Saying that Bud Light was a mediocre product is probably true. The issue is it wasn't considered mediocre prior to the boycott. People of all kinds and all ages and all genders were happy to buy the product. The problem was rebranding it to be the kind of product that only someone would buy if they were happy to jump into a bathtub with Dylan Mulvaney. There are a few people in the world that are happy to do things like that, but most people are not. And those people stopped buying Bud Light, and many of them stopped buying all Anheuser-Busch products. Regardless, the boycotts are still being promoted on social media as evidence that conservatives have buying power and their actions matter. Newsweek reported that after Bud Light's UFC announcement, some fans canceled subscriptions on ESPN Plus and UFC Fight Pass. And on X, formerly Twitter, some people are critically taking note of Target's rainbow-themed holiday decorations. Target didn't just start making gay nutcrackers or gay Christmas-themed merchandise. For some reason, Target decided, you know what? We want to mix sexuality in with religious holidays, as if sexuality had anything to do with celebrating a religious holiday. Maybe there are certain religions where that's appropriate, but the mainstream religions don't tend to mix sexuality in with celebrating their holidays. This is wildly inappropriate, but it was kind of annoying and off to the side and not something that people really were bothered by very much, because this picture goes back to 2021. Here's Todd Starnes' tweet showcasing this ridiculous image. Target's chief executive officer insinuates that Christians are more dangerous to his employees than Black Lives Matter, who burned down city blocks across the nation. Meanwhile, Target has rolled out its gay-themed Christmas decorations again. They believe gay pride is the reason for this season, not Jesus. It is a competing message. It's not appropriate to mix Pride Month and trans flags with Christmas merchandise. I mean, there are some people that probably think it's great, but again, it's like the Bud Light situation. There are always going to be some people that think, yeah, this is cool, it's normal, I don't mind it, but there are, of course, going to be a lot of people that are not comfortable with it and feel very offended by it. In an interview this week with CNBC's Becky Quick, Target CEO talked about some of the factors that led to the boycott, including the fact that Target promoted its Pride merchandise ahead of Pride Month early in May versus June 1st. Quote, so we were way ahead of the industry, Cornell said. It was the first thing you saw when you walked into our store, so it was very prominent. And I think those two factors coming together being early, being prominent in an environment where people had points of view they wanted to express. We were in front of that. So as we go forward, we'll time it differently. Next year, you'll see Pride on June 1st. It's not going to be the first thing you see in our store, but we'll present it appropriately. Becky Quick then asked Cornell whether the controversy had passed. Quote, "Yeah, I think it's a moment and we're through it," he said. The Target CEO is being accused of being a flat-out liar. Why is that? Well, let's get into it. From Daily Mail, the CEO of Target has been accused of telling flat-out lies in a recent interview where he spoke about negative reaction to the store's now infamous Pride collection. The Pride collection, by the way, was over 2,000 individual items. That's kind of an absurd amount of items to plan for. It would be basically like planning for Christmas, except that Christmas is actually something that's been a big holiday at Target ever since Target began. Pride Month is not Christmas. They never should have put this kind of an emphasis on a month just to push a woke agenda. The comments came from Consumer Research's Executive Director Will Hild days after Target executive Brian Cornell defended the store's decision to remove some of its LGBT-themed merchandise from shelves earlier this year. Of course, the people at CNBC don't like the idea of Target removing the LGBT merchandise because they're all on board with pushing the agenda. All except one of their CNBC hosts. The rest of them are like, come on, Target, you can take the abuse, just keep pushing things nobody wants. On Monday, Hill, the boss of a right-wing aligned consumer protection organization, called Cornell a liar, citing a portion of the interview where Cornell pushed back against claims that the store was marketing LGBT merchandise to children. The man whose organization is on a mission to fight woke corporations also took issue with the CEO's insistence the store never partnered with a devil worshipper after it dropped a transgender designer when customers labeled him a Satanist. He just flat out lies about what Target did, Hild insisted in a video interview. He says that he didn't target children with transgender ideology products, and he says that they didn't work with a devil worshipper, Hild continued, insisting his version of the controversy to be fact. He said of the two talking points, both of those things are verifiable facts. They've been reported by a number of different publications, and there's just no question that this was done. Cornell's flat out lying to his customers, he concluded before trying to further support his claims. First, he honed in on the controversy surrounding the so-called tuck bathing suits, which appeared in sections set up for Pride Month in June and included a label which advertises the tuck-friendly construction and extra crotch coverage. The design is made to help conceal a person's private parts, and many immediately accused the store of shilling the garment to children due to the collection's plethora of kid-oriented displays. Hild said, "What we saw coming out of Cornell in this interview is a common tactic that companies that get in trouble for going woke use, where they try to put their employees' safety or some concerns about their employees' well-being in front of their mistake. They focus on that instead of what they've done to offend their consumer," he added. And consumers should really see this as another finger in their eye. This guy is trying to pretend like the customer is the real problem here and not the fact that they were trying to push a far-left radical gender ideology on the children or in their store. When Target decided they would treat Pride Month as if it was Christmas, that's where they made the big mistake. Christmas is a one-of-a-kind holiday. Pride Month is not a holiday. There is no tradition for buying Pride merchandise throughout the month of Pride Month. Target, in trying to push an agenda on their customers and on their customers' families, took a massive risk for absolutely no potential upside. This was never going to become something where Pride Month was going to equal Christmas. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.